To shift gears quickly to the NOC elections that were to happen last week. And of course, there were court issues here and there, orders, counter orders, and the elections ended up being postponed to a later date that is yet to be announced. Now, Alex, to you, this is one of the federations that have issues when it comes to elections. And of course, we can attribute it to some power play involving the Secretary General, Francis Mutuku, and of course, the first Vice President, who is Shadrach Maluki. What do you think can be the solution to this particular impasse as far as these elections are concerned?
First things first, NOC is very important in how we manage our affairs, especially now that we're preparing to go to the World Championships and later on, of course, building a team for the Olympics, because teams that go to the Olympics are not built in a day. It's always, a long-term plan. That is, if you want to do well in the Olympics, then you have to start early. What is happening at NOC is not something, to smile about. In true Kenyan fashion, we saw the election being cancelled at the last minute. There are a number of issues that have, been expressed even by the claims that were taken to the SDT. One is the interpretation of the NOC constitution and also the role of the IEBC in the elections. But having said that, we need to get over with this election and move on to the next level, which is building teams, because NOC is a merge of all federations in the country. We've seen the kind of pairings that we've already witnessed, and you can tell a clear difference that is there when it comes to who is seeking what post. Going by what has been happening from the Francis Mutuku side, who is the current SG, and the first Vice President, who is Maluki, we are seeing a difference in terms of teams that are designed and want to move different sports to the next level. When I look at what is happening, especially on the first Vice President's side, you can see a combination of leaders who, in their own way, in their own capacity, have excelled. This is a team that has the likes of Eliud Kipchoge as their athletes representative. We've seen Grace Okulu, who is currently the captain of the Kenya Lionesses, proposed to be the female athlete or female, representative for the rest of the sport. So I believe it's a difference between people who want to be progressive and want to move the sport forward. Looking at what happened the last 2 weekends, we're looking at projects that have been started, especially in athletics, projects that have been started by the development that has focused on introducing young athletes to different disciplines early on. Back in the day, people used to start running marathons way late until Nairobi's chairman, who is Barnabas Koril, came in and introduced platforms that are trying to build athletes from very young age grades and promoting that in later stages. So I think this is unfortunate that you're having the impasse, but I hope that is going to be cleared soon, so that we can have people in office that are going to care about different federations, and also moving our Olympics preparation plans to the next level.
Indeed. Now to you, Shutsi, and we see that from the law perspective that there is a constitution, of course, governing all these activities. But we saw on Thursday during the AGM that there are 4 federations that couldn't decide who was eligible to cast their vote, hence the suspension of the elections. What does the constitution say? I think the constitution is very clear as far as that is concerned.
Well, there's an interplay and between a moral view and a legal view. Actually, not legal, it's even more of a political view. The problem is not per se legal, because here are 4 members whose constitutions bequeath the president as the spokesperson. However, on the same breath, the Secretary General is the person who is supposed to make communication from a particular federation. Of the 4 federations which have been locked out or which have created an impasse at the voting stage. Now, the NOC constitution does not specify between the members who is going to vote. But the NOC constitution, during its Congress, the General Assembly or an electoral Congress, allows for the attendance of the President and the Secretary General, but one of whom is going to be a voting delegate. So what has happened in these 4 federations, the President's name has been forwarded, either by himself or the Deputy Secretary General, and the Secretary General has equally forwarded his own name as the voting person, as the voting delegate. Yeah. However, the question as to who votes, we leave it to the public for it to become the court. Because if a constitution of an organization stipulates clearly that the president is the spokesperson, I'll give you an example, like the Kenya Volleyball Federation. The Kenya Volleyball Federation, its own constitution says the president shall be its representative at NOC, KVF, the Kenya, I mean at NOC and its world body. Why would we then have an issue with the president of Kenya Volleyball Federation voting at NOC stage? Yeah. So it's a political impasse which can be cured if we are to seek an interpretation of the hierarchy of laws. And this has again been brought about by the electoral rules, which are inferior to the NOC constitution. The electoral rules have now suggested or made it mandatory that when specifying on who is the voting delegate, that letter, the correspondence, must be signed by both the president and the secretary. So what if the president is supporting or is aligned to one faction and the secretary general is aligned to the competing faction? Yeah. So they are competing interests. Would you then think this is a legal issue? It's more of a moral issue. I do not want to pronounce that perhaps it's bad manners, but we need to start thinking proper and have the correct and proper representation of the federation. And by the way, the Sports Act, Section 46, once a national sports organization is registered, it mandates the public, it mandates a particular organization to be open to the public. So we as stakeholders, the public, and those who are passionate about sports, they should start questioning NOC and pile a lot of pressure to them so that they can conduct election. We risk even ban. We risk a ban. Yeah, we risk a ban.
Because there's a deadline.
Yeah, there's a deadline. By April 30th, there's need for elections to have happened.
Which is in a few days' time?
Should be on Wednesday.
2 days' time?
Wednesday. Should be on Wednesday. Should be on Wednesday. Yeah. And just to clarify,
I don't see the urgency, actually.
The court did not stop the elections. It had temporarily stopped an agenda, the electoral Congress, the electoral agenda.
Yes, from the AGM.
Yes, but then in the morning, on the subsequent day, on the 24th, the tribunal lifted that order. Yeah. Yes, but there was another order from the High Court, which allowed for participation of the handball representative, who is the president, as the voter. Yeah. Of course, there was a communication from the Secretary General appointing himself as the voter. Yeah, so where does that leave?
Should that then, trickle down to other federations? Because if the court has ruled itself on a certain matter in one federation, what makes it different when it goes to the other federation? I mean, because by what I understand, at times, as law is interpreted, interpretation of law can at times borrow from cases that have already been decided.
You have precedents.
Yes, exactly.
The doctrine of stare decisis. So, and it's also important, you see, the reasoning of some of these fellas who are running some of these federations or even NOC itself is absurd. You find in the NOC constitution itself, the president is the legal representative of NOC. At IOC, he casts the NOC votes. At ANOC, the Association of National Olympic Committees, or ANOCA in Africa, he's the one who votes, and he attends perhaps with the Secretary General. But when it comes back back home to his members, some of the presidents are not allowed to vote by the Secretary Generals. Yeah. Do you think that is good manners?
we are short of calling it bad manners, but of course with 2 days left, we'll see how that pans out, and I hope there are some board meetings that are going on to try and resolve these impasse and have the elections conducted, because they have no other choice but to conduct those elections, and I'm sure maybe they will do it on that particular deadline day on Wednesday. We'll see how that pans out. Now, yeah.
NOC has never been this political, and that's why I'm even surprised. I've never had this problem before.
Is it under Tergat or even before?
Even before. But now what I want to call out, it's purely bad manners, because now we are elevating the politics at the federation level to NOC. It has been a very sacred organization. Now, the bad manners is coming up to the National Olympics Committee, which has usually held that very sober face. But now, the politics from the federation is coming up to NOC. And I don't know, probably our generation will look at it this way, because these are the same faces. You see, I want to believe that even the constitution should be changed so that if you have served NOC for 4 years, please leave. At whatever position, please leave. There are many Kenyans who can serve NOC or the federations. We were talking here about a president who has served a club for 12 years, who has served... it's just an example.
17 years.
No. I don't want to. I'm not. Maybe. Why?
Now it's what
we know what you're talking about. Maybe. Just say you have a particular one in mind.
All right. Everyone in this panel knows
we are
who we're talking about.
of federations. I want to give it, by the way, to one Sam Nyamweya, who stepped down, and yet he was constitutionally eligible to vie. Yes. You see, such are the examples that we really need to borrow from leaders. When your time is up, please leave. What is this that you did not do as an SG
when you
that you want to do as a president?
That's an equally...
We need to move on in NOC, by the way.
Yeah, I think we should... Every person who wants to run for these offices should drop that selfish mind, that mind of having like, lazima nikuwe hapo because nimekuwa hapo. People know me. Umefanya nini? Sisi hatujaona kitu umefanya. If you've been there, as Shitera has said, serve and go. Mambo ya kukuwa hapo because of selfish or individual interest, please just leave it. Just do it for the people of Kenya.
Yeah, and of course we'll keep this conversation going on and on. We'll see how that pans out, and that will be, of course, a basis of